The unruly kids threw a brick at the police car, but after waiting for a long time with no reaction, they realized it was an empty vehicle. Excited, the crew-cut kid jumped into the driver's seat, but the long-haired one felt uneasy. The bottle on the hood made him suspect the cops were nearby, but spurred by his buddy's encouragement, he eventually joined in the fun. The crew-cut kid found a set of keys on the seat. He instinctively turned the lock. The deafening engine roar started them, prompting a quick escape. After a brief wait with no unusual occurrences, they hurriedly jumped back in the car, pressed the pedal to the floor, and to their amazement, the car began moving forward. Driving an actual vehicle for the first time thrilled them. With boldness built up from days spent playing racing video games, the Buzzcut boy's audacity grew, driving the patrol car rapidly across the open grasslands. He even turned on the police lights and siren. Fortunately, being isolated in the wilderness, no one noticed the strange behavior of the police car. Suddenly, they heard voices from the radio. Though nervous, the kids felt more excited than scared. Ahead of them was a broad road, but a gate blocked their way. Under the command of the crew-cut kid, the long-haired boy floored the gas pedal. The car's horsepower burst forth like a wild horse. Smashing through the fillets, nervous about their first time driving on the road, the long-haired boy kept the speed to just 30 kilometers per hour, which annoyed the crew-cut kid sitting next to him. So, they switched seats again. To test the limits of the patrol car, the crew-cut kid began speeding recklessly. The sudden acceleration startled the long-haired boy into buckling his seatbelt tightly, as the speedometer shot up to 180 kilometers per hour. However, unfamiliar with traffic regulations, the crew-cut teen unintentionally veered into the wrong lane, nearly colliding with an elderly woman strolling by. Frozen in shock, she eventually alerted a nearby police chief, who was equal parts anxious and excited, for this was his very own patrol car. Despite his position, he had secretly been involved in some shady activities and just recently drove the car out to the remote area. After confirming no one was around, he opened the trunk and pulled out a black body bag. He spread it flat on the grass, donned rubber gloves, and then took out a lifeless corpse from the car's trunk. Evidently, this wasn't his first time carrying out these questionable acts. The exhausting effort of dragging items back from the burial site left the chief visibly frustrated. But for the sake of the money, he quietly bore the effort. When he reached the pre-dug pit, he threw the corpse in without saying a word, then poured in a large bag of fossil powder he'd bought online. Satisfied, he started calculating how to spend the money. However, when he finished and prepared to return, his patrol car had inexplicably disappeared. If not for the shattered bottle on the ground, he might have doubted whether he had even driven there. Suddenly, he panicked. Not about the missing car, but the drug dealer still tied up in the trunk. He sprinted frantically for 20 meters, only to receive a call from a colleague just as he reached home. His colleague reported that an elderly woman had witnessed two kids driving a patrol car. Thrilled by the news, the chief quickly devised a plan. Claiming he was worried the kids might overhear the police's capture efforts, he instructed all officers to switch their radios to Channel 7. After hanging up, he immediately tuned his own radio to Channel 6 and began yelling into the police car system. Little did he know the kids weren't inside the car at all. The crew-cut kid was holding an assault rifle he'd found in the police car, preparing to test the performance on his friend's bulletproof vest from a distance. They assumed the gun was unloaded. Just as they were about to try another, the chief's voice came through the police radio, scaring them out of their wits and prompting them to hastily discuss their next steps. They decided to ditch the car and escape. At that moment, they heard a noise coming from the trunk. Upon opening it, they found a man tied up inside, curled up and begging for mercy. When he saw it was two young boys holding guns, he quickly claimed to be a good person and said the chief was the real villain. The kids exchanged glances, feeling he looked pitiful enough not to be a bad guy. Unbeknownst to them, he was actually a ruthless drug kingpin. Fooled by his innocent demeanor, the kids freed him from his restraints, unknowingly setting themselves up for disaster. Things took a sharp turn as the drug lord locked them in the back of the police car and demanded they reveal the chief's location. Meanwhile, the chief mistakenly believed the boys were turning over a new leaf. Without hesitation, he drove straight to the patrol car's location, but little did he know he was walking right into the drug lord's trap. At that moment, the drug lord was already lying in wait near the police car, ready to eliminate the chief. Sure enough, as time ticked by, the chief arrived in his car and spotted the sheriff's patrol car was parked by the roadside, and he immediately sensed a dreadful aura which made him snap to attention. Upon noticing the two silent children in the back seat, he quickly shut the car door and hid. Just as he hadn't figured out how to escape, an older woman drove up. She was the one who had called the police. This sparked an idea in the sheriff's mind. Claiming his legs were injured and he couldn't move, he asked the woman to fetch some keys hidden in the bushes. The woman promptly went and discovered a concealed drug lord moments later. A fierce gunfight ensued immediately. The sheriff exchanged shots with the drug lord, and both ended up collapsing after being hit. With everyone on the ground turned into lifeless bodies, the two children were petrified with fear. As darkness began to descend, they suddenly realized they needed help, but found the back door securely locked, leaving them with no way out. Just when they thought the worst was about to happen, one of them, Curly, remembered he had a handgun on him. This gave them the idea to smash the glass and escape through the window. However, they didn't know the gun's safety had to be disengaged first. Thinking the gun was broken, they tossed it aside. Unknowingly, the impact accidentally released the safety, and a second later, the roof of the car ended up with a massive hole from Curly's shot. Realizing the gun now worked, Jack swiftly aimed at the car window, broke the glass, and Curly quickly opened the door to escape. But when he regained his composure, he noticed Jack hadn't followed him out. Confused, Curly ran back to the patrol car to check on him. It was then he discovered Jack clutching his stomach tightly. It turned out that a ricocheting bullet had hit him earlier. To save Jack, Curly dashed into the driver's seat, intending to drive him to a hospital. However, at that moment, the sheriff suddenly regained consciousness. It turned out he had only been hit by a bullet, and wasn't beyond saving. He then started the car and gave chase, believing it was all the kids' fault and vowing to get rid of them at all costs. Before long, he caught up, with plans to ram the car into them. Little did the sheriff realize, Curly's driving had vastly improved. Spotting a large truck in the distance, Curly veered sharply at the last moment after heading straight toward it, leaving the sheriff unable to evade and resulting in a violent crash. Curly quickly asked Jack if he was all right, but Jack had already succumbed to his critical blood loss. After such a traumatic ordeal, it's clear Curly would never consider stealing a police car again.